Jingle bells, Batman smells, Robin laid an egg. The Batmobile lost the wheel and Joker got away. Hey, jingle bells, Batman smells, Robin laid an egg. The Batmobile lost the wheel and the Joker got away.
That's right. That's right. The Joker got away. Here we are for the OpenMicersPodcast, the Christmas episode. My name is Jason Robbins.
I'm Jacob Craig. I don't know how many listeners are sticking around after that theme song, more or less than our usual theme song. I'm not sure the over-under on that.
I had to do something festive for the holidays.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I mean, this is our last episode of the year. We're, because the next 2 weeks on a Wednesday, which is when we record, are Christmas Day and New Year's Day. Mm-hmm. So we get a nice little holiday off, Jay.
So you're just going to have to live without us, everybody. Can you do it? Can you go 2 weeks without us?
I think that they might be able to. I think that our 5 listeners might be able to go 2 weeks without listening to us babble.
Well, I do have the vlog I got to get done and put out on the Patreon for the last little trip we made. I got to get that done.
Yeah, speaking of which, too, that's from our Mobile show. We had booked a show in New Orleans a couple Sundays ago. I was not able to make it to that after all because of work, regular work scheduling and whatnot. But Jay, how did that show go in New Orleans, man?
I got the headline, buddy.
I had an inkling that's what happened. So tell me.
So you know what that means? I'm not allowed to be on this show anymore. I have to go actually start a new podcast called Headliners, and
Then I guess that I haven't been able to be on this show since like 2019, but that's fine. I guess if we're gonna be like that about it.
What it was is it was a show put on by our friend Mr. Brandon Haynes, who was
Love him.
On the show a couple of months back and is nominated for Guest of the Year for the show here, in the running for Guest of the Year. Well, he put on a comedy show at a place called Uncle Matt's in Harahan, Louisiana. If you don't know where that is, it's kind of in Metairie. It's a little bit outside New Orleans, about 10 minutes outside of New Orleans. And it was a really cool little place. Get there and show's about to start, and Brandon comes up to me and he's like, "Hey, the headliner can't make it tonight. Can you do 15 minutes?" I was like, "Yeah, of course." And then I got put on as headliner for the show and was nervous as hell, but I did it. I did it, buddy. I did it.
That's good, man. I'm glad that the headliner was only 15 minutes.
Well, it would have had to have been longer, but he had called up some other New Orleans comedians to come in and do like 5-minute sets or 10-minute sets, I think, and okay. to fill in some time. So I could have done more if I wanted to, but 15 minutes seemed like a good, nice set to end the night with.
Yeah, how did it go as far as like reception?
Dude, it went great. Everybody loved it. I was hitting on all my jokes were hitting, and it was nice.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. I wish I could have fucking made it, but just fucking.
Yeah, you missed a good show, man. It was really good. The thing was, when we got there was a bunch of tables in there that had reserved on them, and the bartender lady was like, "Yeah, those are people that called beforehand and reserved tables and everything." I was like, "Wow, this is gonna be a pretty packed show." Well, the show started at show started at 7, but it actually got kicked off about 10 after, and there wasn't really anybody in there. It was only just a couple of people plus the comedians. But as the show went on, more and more people started coming in, and so by the time I went on, it was not, I wouldn't say it was a full packed bar, but there was a nice sized crowd in there, and everybody seemed to love it, and everybody was complimentary afterwards, and everybody was saying they wanted me to come over, do more shows. They want to come over here and do shows. They want to come on the podcast, all that kind of good stuff. So made some friends that night.
How dare they want to come on this award-winning podcast?
I don't know why
That's
they
good.
would. It's not like it helps anything.
No, it's fucking no. It
Nah.
doesn't. If you come on this podcast, then you might have potential later. But I think it's more coincidental than it is causatory.
But it didn't hit me till the next day. I was like, man, I actually headlined for the first time, and it felt great. Like I haven't had that feeling yet. I didn't know if I could be a show closer. You know, I
Yeah.
feel like I could be a good feature right now. You know, I don't feel like a headliner, but if I had to, I could do it.
Yeah. Yeah. It hadn't occurred to me that you never headlined before.
No, I've featured. I've never headlined before.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, me personally, I've headlined a handful of times, right, where I'm like promoted beforehand as like the headliner on
Yeah.
nothing big, just bar shows.
Yeah.
But every single time it's been fucking cursed. Like one time I headlined at a coffee shop during Mobile Art Walk, and I walked literally the entire crowd except for like two people. And I was literally the first time I'd ever headlined in like 2019. So I was a 19-year-old comic, a couple of years into comedy, and getting put up to do supposed to be 30 minutes because it's unheard of to have 30 minutes at that point.
Yeah. So what do you
And then
think
I
you
got
have right now? If you had to do a full headliner set, how many minutes do you think you have?
What's funny is that I feel like I actually have less minutes than I used to have because my
Same.
standards have gotten raised so much.
I feel like if you would have asked me 4 years ago, I would have said I could do 45 minutes easy.
Yeah,
Now
for
I'm
sure.
like 25, 30 if I'm stretching it. Like that's
Yeah.
my top tier material, probably tops out right at between 25 and 30 minutes.
Yeah, that's my thing is like my standards have raised so much and to the point where I've gotten rid of bits that work and get laughs because they're not up to my personal standards.
Isn't that the hardest thing to do, is to get rid of stuff that you love, even though, because I have jokes that I love that I know are kind of hit and miss. Like sometimes they hit,
Yeah.
sometimes they don't. I'm like, I just got to pull it out because it's too iffy, you know?
Yeah. I mean, even jokes that work all the time. Like I've gotten rid of bits that work 100% of the time because I'm like, I don't think this bit fits with what I want to do anymore. So like I always tell anyone when they ask how much time I can do, I say, I have a world-class 10 minutes where I feel like if you put me up in front of any crowd in the world, a football stadium or a fucking dive bar with 3 people in it, this 10 minutes will hit in either place.
That's where
and
I feel
have a
I'm at,
very,
too.
very good 20.
Yeah,
And that's what I always say.
I feel like I could rock a 10-minute set anywhere. Like if anybody were to call me up and say, hey, can you do a solid 10 minutes anywhere? Yes, I'm at that point. Yeah. Absolutely. 15. Yes, I can do 15. But if I really want to do all my prime material, I would say, yeah, probably 25 to 30 minutes. That's everything. That's leaving stuff out that, 4 years ago I would have been like, oh, this is a nice pad to, stretch things out a bit. But I don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty much the same way, I think, where I would say like I have a very, very good 20 minutes. And if I had to do 30, then I would. But I would much rather feature. I would rather do 15-minute feature sets for just a headliner, because it's not like, because what's the point of headlining if you can't sell tickets, right?
Yeah.
Like there's no point. I know I can do 30 minutes, or I could just do 2 different 15-minute sets featuring.
Yeah.
And then it's the same thing.
Yeah.
No one's buying a ticket to see me.
But I did feel good about the fact that, I kind of came in the clutch for Brandon and, filled in a slot for him so that he knows what I can do now. And, he can pass my name around to some of the other New Orleans people over there that run shows and be like, hey, this guy can come in and and do 15 solid minutes. That's a nice feeling to have right now.
Well, and now I'm feeling a complete opposite emotion than what I had initially felt, because I'm not gonna lie. Initially, I saw the show flyer, when we were booked, we didn't know I was going to be on the show, but I saw the show flyer and I was like, I dodged a bullet, because I personally don't want to perform with people who use fake credits to get everything that they have. I don't want to perform with somebody like that. But knowing that person didn't actually show up.
Original headliner?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The original headliner uses fake credits to get everything they have. And that's good for you, buddy.
Yeah.
But I personally don't want to work with someone like that. So if I had stayed on the show, I guess I would have still done my set, but I wouldn't have been happy about it.
Yeah. I'm not.
But now, knowing he wasn't there, I feel like I missed out on a good chance to, I could have also done fucking 15 minutes and had him not call anybody else.
Yeah.
We got this.
And
dude.
as far as the headliner, I don't agree with his politics and the shit that he does and says, but I was like, you know what, I'm going to do the show and just, be there for Brandon, do the show. But then when I get there and he says he's not there, it was almost like, yes, he's not here.
Fucking jackpot. Yeah, I don't want to fucking work with someone who, claims to have a Netflix credit they don't have. But anyways, we don't have to talk about that. That's just my personal belief, is that if you haven't actually been on Netflix, you shouldn't fucking say that you are.
But moving on, you said you had something before we started the podcast. Something weird happened to you.
Yes, and I don't want to hype this up too much, but in very recent memory, this is the weirdest, most bizarre story that's really happened to me in a long time. So I forget what night it was, but we got a babysitter for the kid, right? She's spending the night with her grandma. We're doing some last minute Christmas shopping, going to Walmart, the holiday bullshit. We're not getting a chance to eat supper until 7:30 at night. We're sitting in the apartment. We're like, we need to eat something. We got to order something. Go to DoorDash and put in an order for Five Guys burgers and fries. And we look at how much the DoorDash is, and we're like, we're not gonna.
Five Guys is already expensive, and you're gonna DoorDash that shit? What are you, Rockefeller? Yeah. Where are you getting all this money from, Mr. Moneybags?
I took out a loan to DoorDash Five Guys. It's too expensive. We decided not to DoorDash it. Close the DoorDash app. Place the order on their website. And so we're just going to go to Five Guys and pick it up. She's in her pajamas. I'm in my pajamas. And we're just roll up to Five Guys. We walk in and, we're standing by the counter, not really sure who's waiting for food or in line or whatever. Someone comes up and they're like, yo, you got an order? We're like, yeah, we got an online order. He said, you DoorDashing? We're like, no, we're not. We're not DoorDashers. They're like, okay. you made an order online? We're like, yeah. And they look and they're like, what was the name on that order? We're like, Lily. It's the name on the order. The guy's like, Lily Busby. They're like, yeah, that's the name on the order. And they're like, oh, yeah, we sent that to the other store. Like, what? Huh? Why did you send that to their store? And the manager comes over. He's like, oh yeah, she called and said that she placed her order for the wrong store, so we sent it to the other store. No. And I'm not understanding. I'm like, wait, who called? What do you mean she called? Lily Busby's standing right here with me. And the guy's like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Yeah, we'll get started on your order right away or whatever. And I'm still not getting it. So I'm talking to the guy and I'm like, wait, so what do you mean Lily Busby called here? He's like, yeah, we got a call from this person that said that she was Lily Busby. I'm like, read me the number. He reads me Lily's phone number from the caller ID that called the store.
Did your daughter call or something?
No.
Huh.
He reads me her phone number. So someone called the Five Guys from not her phone, but using her phone number.
So spoofed her phone number.
Used her name and said, I placed the order. I'm from Starkville and I'm staying in a hotel. I placed the wrong order to the wrong store. Can you just send that to D'Iberville
So
for
wait
me?
a minute. So what you're telling me is somebody hacked your order basically by spoofing your fiance's phone, somehow found out you made an order, and then spoofed your fiance's phone number to call Five Guys and change the order to a different store. Like, they didn't rob you or do anything like that. They just messed up your Five Guys order.
So I don't know what their game is. But here's the thing, right? So there are these apps where you can have whatever show up on the caller ID.
Yeah.
But someone had to have seen. Now, I mentioned earlier we put the exact same order into the DoorDash app. We didn't place an order.
Uh-huh.
We looked at all this back. I had them print the ticket. And I showed them, yeah, this ticket was placed at 7:38. Here's the payment information from where we paid for this at 7:38. We paid for this food. So someone has a scheme so elaborate that they have the caller, they have some access to either DoorDash or the Five Guys Burgers and Fries ordering system.
To what end? Just to ruin people's night? Is that what they're doing?
But here's the thing, Jason. Here's the thing. So they have that. They also have whatever app to show up on the caller ID. They can see her name. That's all the information they have, because if they had the credit card information, then her account would be wiped out. To send the food to the other store that they are going to pick up for free because we paid for it. And since we paid for it, we're picking up the food from the other store.
Oh, okay. Now it's starting to become clear to me. So
we're
there. It's a free food scheme.
Yes.
Wow.
And we're just standing there like,
don't they know that it's so much easier? Like, dude, you know, I've actually noticed this. I meant to bring this up tonight, and it's funny that you start talking about this. I have noticed that whenever my boss orders lunch for us every Friday, and I always go and pick it up because every time we've had it delivered, it's always been fucked. You know, always been messed up. So
yeah,
I'm just going to go get whatever food we order. And every time I go pick up the food that we order, whether it be Lenny subs or, you know, McAllister's or wherever we order from, I literally just walk in, grab the food, and leave.
Yeah.
Nobody says anything to you. So what keeps people from just going into random restaurants and just picking up the, like, you know, the pickup orders by the door and then just leaving?
And here's the thing. That's so much easier than getting access to the restaurant's website.
That's what I'm saying. That's so much easier. They could have literally just walked into that Five Guys and just taken anybody's order at that point.
Yeah. I don't understand why they had to do that with so many extra steps.
That's a lot.
The manager that was there is like, dude, I worked here for 10 years. This is the first time this has ever happened. This is the first time I've ever heard of this happening to anybody. Yeah. So there's just like a Spider-Man moment of them being like, Lily already called. Me being like, she's Lily. Them being like, here's her phone number. Me being like, that's her phone number.
But I've thought about that this week. Like, what if I'm just hungry one day and I just like pull up into like Lenny's or whatever, just walk in and just take somebody's order? Like, how would they know?
They wouldn't know. And it's so much easier. They're like food scammers. And first of all, people working in like the food industry like that,
they don't care.
Fucking care. They do not care. Like, at no point did these guys look at me and say, I don't believe that this is your order. I can't in good conscience make this order for you. They're just like, yeah, dude, this is crazy. No problem. Yeah, here's your food. They don't fucking care. They're more interested in the story of what's happening.
Yeah. That's so freaking weird, man. That is the most elaborate food stealing scheme I've ever. And it wouldn't it be easier just to steal like your fiance's credit card number or whatever, and like empty your bank account, or go buy food somewhere else? Like, that just seems so elaborate.
And that's the thing too. Like, I think that's why, they don't have access to anything that's hers. They have some kind of access to be able to see what orders are coming into the Five Guys, because the only information they have is what's on the ticket.
I bet they've hacked into the Five Guys website.
Yeah, probably.
Maybe somebody should tell Five Guys that their site's been hacked.
And they said it was like an older sounding lady. And I'm like, what freaking older lady has a scheme, this elaborate? So what she had brought up that, I think could be just as likely, and I don't want to point fingers at anybody, but she said, those guys could have just they could have done that. They could have sent that order over and fucking like had someone keep our food so that they could eat it.
Yeah.
It could have been an inside job.
It could have, but I mean, see,
they all seem genuinely surprised. I don't know.
Your first mistake was Five Guys, because I'll eat a Five Guys burger, but that shit is way too expensive for what it is.
Five Guys fucking buzz.
I mean, it's all right. It's not the best hamburger in the world.
Here's my thing. Here's my beef with Five Guys, right?
Why, it's like $24 for a small cheeseburger and some a grocery sack full of soggy fries.
Not even that. Okay, you almost stole what I was gonna say. Fucking don't even put the fries in a cup.
They just dump
if they're
them in
all
the bag.
gonna be in the bag anyways. Don't put a fucking cup in the bag. Just dump the bitches straight in there.
It's kind of what they do. Insane. They just dump a half a bag of fries in there, and they just toss a cup in there. Like, what is that gonna do?
Yeah, it drives me fucking up a wall that I pull the cup out, and there's some fries in a cup, and I look in the bag, and I'm like, oh, there's all the fries.
What is your fast food burger of choice?
If I had any choice in the world, and I'm not going to consider Five Guys, because to me, Five Guys is not fast food because there's no drive-through. I feel like fast food has to have a drive-through.
Yeah, well, it's not very fast either.
It's not. It's real slow. It's honestly it's slow food, dude. Yeah, fast food. Like if I had any choice, either Hardee's, which their quality has gone downhill severely recently, either them or Checkers.
Checkers used to be great. I love Checkers fries, but their burgers are just not great anymore. You know who is good? And this is a very specific one. The Burger King in Ocean Springs. That Burger King has some of the dumbest people on the planet working there. But let me tell you, those people can make a fucking burger. Like, it is just like the picture up on the screen, and it tastes wonderful. It's like the perfect balance of ingredients. I don't know what they're doing in there, or if those are like pod people, and all they can do is say, how may I help you, and make hamburgers. That's all they do. They're just programmed to do that. Yeah. But it's wonderful. It's the best Burger King you're ever gonna have is that particular Burger King.
That's crazy that a Burger King to you, like any Burger King, is your best fast food burger.
I mean, I've had some really good burgers in my life, but as far as fast food burgers, that particular restaurant is where I'm going to go. What's going on back there?
I am podcasting in my daughter's room because this is the frickin', this is the compromise that we've made, is for me to podcast in my daughter's room for some reason, knowing that they're going to need crap out of my daughter's room while I'm podcasting.
Of course.
So forgive me while the podcast is silent for 5 seconds while I grab underwear.
I guess I'll just vamp for 5 seconds while he grabs his daughter's underwear. Don't you just love this show, everybody? The things that can happen. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Here.
At least it's not Jacob's underwear, you know, when I have to see brown skid marks in the screen.
I'm back.
Hey, buddy. I was just telling everybody how awesome you are.
I have a feeling that is not true.
You know, I was actually going to bring up tonight, since it's the Christmas episode, I'm kind of angry with the universe because a couple of months ago, do you remember a conversation we had where you like thrifting? I like thrifting. You like thrifting. It. Love it. Love thrifting. Back in, I guess probably June, July, me and you were talking, and I'm a big, VHS DVD hunter. Like, that's what I like to look for at the thrift stores. Well, the particular thrift store by me has a bunch of DVDs and VHS and all that kind of stuff. And you had mentioned that you like UFC DVDs, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? I see these things all the time. There's just places lousy with UFC DVDs. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to start picking these up for Jacob and have a nice big fat Christmas present of UFC DVD, just a bag, like a briefcase. Yeah. Full of DVDs for you for Christmas. So I bought 2 that first night. I was like, I'm going to start getting these for Jacob. Every time I see them, I'm just going to grab them. Don't you fucking know, since that night, I have not seen a single fucking UFC DVD in the thrift stores since that night. I still have the same 2 that I bought that first night when I used to see them all the time. Why does that happen? The minute I start looking for something specific, it fucking disappears from the planet.
Yeah, that's a nice sentiment, by the way. I appreciate that a lot.
So I have you a Christmas present. That's what it boils down to. I wanted it to be a gigantic, just gross Christmas. I wanted to annoy your fiance by giving you literally like a gigantic bag of UFC DVDs for Christmas, but it didn't happen, and I didn't get to fulfill my Christmas wish.
Yeah, see, and I don't know what it is about that, but what I have noticed is that my specific interests have been weeded out of thrift stores lately.
Same.
Because I keep going and it's just all clothes, shoes, the occasional board game. Chances are all the pieces aren't in it, so there's no point in buying it. Like, what I think it is that no one's dads are dying anymore.
Yeah, everybody's living longer. Nobody's dying.
Yeah, because that's what it used to be. That's why there were UFC DVDs at the thrift store to begin with. Is someone's dad died and they're like, I don't know what to do with this shit. And just donated it all to the thrift store.
Yeah, and you can always tell when somebody does die because then the thrift store will be flush with all kind of like the samey type stuff. Yeah. And it'll be like somebody obviously died recently.
Yeah, it's like that looks like the second best suit someone could have owned.
That's why I have an entire bit about all the good suits in the world are 6 feet in the ground because men only own one suit. And then they get buried in it. So there's no good suits to be thrifted.
Yeah. And there's no video games at all anymore.
No,
in
none.
Most thrift stores.
Dude, I used to be able to go to the thrift store and find video games all the time. I cannot tell you the last time I saw even just like a PS2 game at the thrift store. Forget Nintendo. If they get a Nintendo game, they want like way too much money for it, or they throw it on eBay or something. Like nothing gets filtered into the actual thrift stores anymore, video game related. And
I wonder if this is a symptom of just being down here. But because I saw someone posting on Facebook today, they were like, "Oh, got lucky at the Goodwill today." And they posted like a picture of like a GTA PS2 game, Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's weird. The Goodwills down here don't even like they'll take it, but they won't make it to the store. They'll like sell it on eBay.
Yeah.
or some shit. And then he posts in the comments, he's like, found this goodie as well for a steal. And it was the Deadpool video game for PS4, which I don't know if you know the price on that is worth a lot of fucking money, like at least $60.
Huh.
Yeah. I'm like, that would never fucking make it to a thrift store down here.
That's never getting to the show floor, ever. Because that's the thing, even with Goodwill now, all the good stuff that they get goes directly to being sold online. None of that good stuff that's why Goodwill, I don't go to Goodwill anymore because it sucks. There's nothing good in there.
Yeah, and that's where I used to get all my UFC DVDs. And it was from Goodwill, and now they never have any of them.
Yeah, the Goodwill by me used to always have a really good selection of VHS DVDs and stuff, and I even found some PS2 games there a couple of years ago. But now it's been like the same wall of DVDs for like 3 years now. Like it has not changed. Nobody's bought anything. They haven't put anything new up. It's just the same shit every time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why, like, I went to that thrift store that you had told me about that has that whole room in the back there.
Yeah, did you go?
Fucking, oh, dude.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say I racked up, but I left so that my fiance could buy me Christmas presents, and then I saw the bill on the bank statement afterwards. I think I might have racked up.
I told you were going to enjoy it there. They had a lot of stuff.
Yeah, and what that lady had told me, or told my fiance, was that the guy that owns that booth has been setting up at all the markets and thrift stores all over the coast because, get this, his dad died recently, and this guy's like a fishing redneck dude. His dad owned a chain of video gaming stores. And then when his stores went under, all that shit went into storage units, and now that his dad's dead, his kid's selling it all.
All profit, baby. It's all profit.
Profit.
God. How do some people just get lucky like that? I mean, I feel bad that the dude's dad died, but I mean, just to have like all that stuff to turn around and just sell for profit. And it's all going to sell because it's all, from what I've seen, it's apparently all good stuff.
Yeah, it's really good stuff. Like there's like a Nintendo cabinet, like light up cabinet that they just have the shit in. Mm-hmm. I would buy that cabinet if I had the money. And then on top they have fucking Nintendo 64, NES. They have NES games in the fucking thing. They have like bins of PS2 games. It's just fucking, and that's like a very, very small fraction of what this guy was left.
Wow. I want to know who
and I've
this
seen
guy
that guy
is.
Posting. He's been posting all this shit on Facebook Marketplace too. Like he's just selling this shit like fucking hotcakes.
I would buy some from him if I knew him personally and be like, hey, let's work out a deal.
Yeah.
So if he's listening to this show, which I know he's not, but if he is, get a hold of us. OpenMicersPodcast at gmail.com. Let's work some stuff out because we're both gamers. We like old stuff. Hit us up.
Maybe if we were on Brownwater Banter, would be able to reach him. But I don't think he's listening to this kind of show.
Nobody's listening to us. They're all listening to the fishing show.
Here's my thing, Jason. Here, New Year's resolution. In 2025, our podcast is gonna just be about fishing. Just same name, same everything, but it's about fishing. We'll interview some fish.
Yeah.
We'll interview fucking the guy from Finding Nemo.
Yeah, why not?
Okay.
Let's rebrand.
Let's just be the fish podcast.
The Open Anglers podcast. That's what we'll rebrand for the new year.
Yeah, dude. Open season micers.
Yeah.
Fucking make it about hunting.
I like it. Let's do it. I'll have to learn how to. Well, I mean, I know how to fish, but dude, I haven't fished in like 20 years.
Yeah, I haven't been in a while, and I've never been hunting. Believe it or not.
I've been hunting once, and I hated every second of it.
Yeah, you have to be so fucking quiet, dude. I'd fart. I'd fart so fast.
Not only that, I didn't want to shoot anything. I'm like, I don't want to shoot something. I mean, if it's the end of the world and I have to shoot something for survival, I will. But I'm not gonna kill an innocent animal just because.
Yeah, if I had to shoot something, I'd probably want it to be a person.
Yeah, same.
And they're not innocent, dude.
On that note, anything else? Oh, did you want to say anything about those drones that have been popping up all
Oh,
over? What do you think they
what's
are?
that? I don't know anything about it. I've just seen the memes. I don't know what it is.
Well, apparently all these drones started popping up in New Jersey and New York, and like they're coming in off the Atlantic Ocean, and then they come in at night, and then they go back out to the ocean. And there's speculation that it's either an Iranian mothership out in the Atlantic that's like doing some spying on us, which, if everybody knows about it, how is it spying? Or it's like it's a military contractor doing some testing. And they also said it's because they're out looking for some radioactive nuclear material that went missing in New Jersey like a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, I think it's probably that. Probably that one's the most likely.
Missing nuclear radioactive waste or whatever. Like, how do you lose that shit?
Well, Jason, I don't know if you know anything about our government, but if anyone can lose nuclear waste,
you would think something like that. You really want to keep a close eye on that stuff.
yeah, but you would say the same thing about a test tube virus.
Yeah.
And look what fucking happened.
I don't know. It seems like a lot more plausible that a virus could escape than, losing radioactive material. Because, like, a virus is like, have you ever seen The Stand? Or, what was that one with Matt Damon? What was that movie? Where the bat pooped in somebody's soup and there was a pandemic around the world. Was it called Pandemic? I don't know.
There was a movie called Pandemic, but I don't think Matt Damon was in it.
Outbreak.
Maybe he is.
Well, anyway, it's like it would seem so easy. Like somebody accidentally, gets exposed to the virus and then leaves the facility and ends up spreading this like super contagious virus. Like that sounds very plausible, but just to lose, like, oopsie, it's like a truckload of like radiation. It's just like, oops, we lost it. We don't know what happened to it.
Well, Jason, how are the Ninja Turtles going to be made if no one loses radioactive waste?
And how is Daredevil going to be made? Like, he has to like get radiated so he can have super hearing and go blind.
We're looking at a Toxic Avenger situation.
Yeah, and he's from New Jersey. So that's
that.
Dude, we cracked it. They're trying to create Toxie.
Yeah. Or this is like an elaborate scheme to promote Toxic Avenger.
The new movie.
Yeah.
This is an elaborate scheme. This is the best movie promotion I've ever seen in my life.
Get everyone interested in drones, then get them interested in toxic waste, and finally, boom, we drop the movie.
And like we're the only people that have figured this out so far. That it's all about the Toxic Avenger.
Yeah, we've cracked the code, dude.
Let me put this in the notes real quick before I forget how the drones. How should I write this? How the drones are.
I don't know.
Are an elaborate movie promotion for the Toxic Avenger.
Yeah,
All
there you go. You figure it out. You cracked the code.
Well, we're getting close to the end of the episode. This is the Christmas episode, everybody. We're almost to the end, and it's almost Christmas. We are 1 week away as of right now from Christmas. And then when you normies, you non-patrons are getting this, it's Friday, so you're like 5 days from Christmas. So if you want to be a patron, guess what? You can I'll actually need to do that tonight. I'll make a post on Patreon where you can gift a Patreon membership to a friend. They're on Patreon now. So I'll get that done tonight. And so if you want to give the gift of Open Micers to one of your friends and family, if you hate a friends and family member and you want to give them an Open Micers Patreon membership, just head over to our Patreon, patreon.com/OpenMicersPodcast. Thank you. Merry Christmas, fucker.
If I get gifted a Patreon membership to my podcast, I'm going to be so fucking mad.
You heard that, patrons. Gift him a Patreon membership to our own podcast.
Dude, I'm going to be fucking mad.
And it's going to be like the $50 level. And then we have to torture you for yourself.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, man. I know you're gonna kick it over to me about promotion or whatever.
Yep.
We're gonna be done, but we have one very small order of business to attend to before the year is out. We have to decide who our 2024 guest of the year is going to be. So I will be hard at work on a blog post announcing our official nominees. Of course, we're doing it the same way as last year, where paying Patreon members are the only ones who are going to be able to vote on who will actually win the chicken. Not me, not Jason, not the general public, our Patreon members. So they are voting on who is going to win the chicken. And, you know, as a special thank you to watching this episode all the way through, I think I can go ahead and tell everyone a little early who might be nominated for our guest of the year, Jason.
Go for it.
I think that my two personal nominations might be Trey Campbell, who is a fucking hilarious Austin comic, been on Kill Tony multiple times, and just a brilliant human being. And it might be Rachel Lopez, who gives me personal hope in the local comedy scene and had one of the most interesting episodes of 2024.
True.
Who else might it be? Jason?
Well, my two nominees are Mr. at TV's Travis, who was on earlier this year. And also Mr. Brandon Haynes is my nominee for the year.
Allegedly. And this is, this is public knowledge now because, the poll was public, but we actually have not one like we were supposed to have, but two fan vote nominees, because tied in first place for 47 votes each are Carson Taylor and Mark Simmons.
That's crazy.
So they're both in the fucking running.
I think Mark Simmons cheated. That's what I think. He gamed the system.
We actually got a lot of votes on that poll. There were over 100 votes on the poll. I thought that Ken Edwards was going to run away with it. He shared it to his profile. He got a lot of votes up front. Yeah. And then Carson shared it like 3 or 4 times. And then Mark shared it like 3 or 4 times. And boom. Here we fucking are. Now they're both in the running for a chicken, dude. And being the first guest of 2025.
And we got to get Mark back on to prove that he did not game the system. And
or to prove that he did. Prove he's behind the drones in New Jersey.
No, he's the one that messed up your order at Five Guys.
He's the one that stole my burger, dude. My burger and my salted caramel milkshake.
He was hungry.
He had to get that salty caramel.
Yeah.
Caramelly salt.
That just sounds like diabetes. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and get out. Is there anything else before we leave this year? This is our last episode of the year.
Here, let's do this. What do you want your, I don't know if you have Nerd Cave Retro or not, but what do you want your last podcasting word of the year to be, Jason?
Well, I got one more with Nerd Cave Retro, but with Open Micers, the last words of 2024, poop.
All right. For me, it's got to be... I'm just kidding. I wouldn't say that. I'm not a person that says that word.
Sure.
I don't know. My last podcasting word of 2024, rotisserie.
Rotisserie poop.
I can't say another word because then it won't be my last podcasting word of 2024. All right,
well, let's go ahead and get out of here, and then at the very end, you can say your last podcasting word. So if you want to email us at openmicerspodcast@gmail.com. Linktr.com. Go to Linktree. Linktr.com/OpenMicersPodcast takes you everywhere you need to go. OpenMicers.com is our blog where you can go look up all the episodes and all that kind of stuff, all of Jacob's writings. And, of course, BResCoffeeCo.com. Use the code OMPodcast at checkout for 10% off your order. Merry Christmas, everybody, and we'll see you next year.